Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday night edition of LFC Transfer Room's YouTube stream. Thank you all for joining us and spending your Saturday night with us. This is the match preview show, and it's a big match preview. I know that it feels like there's not really a lot to play for, especially since Tottenham essentially capitulated the other night and all but secured Liverpool's top four and Champions League hopes. So, Drew, although there's not a massive emphasis on the game in terms of what Liverpool can do in terms of results, it does look like third place is sealed. It's still Liverpool-Tottenham. We still definitely owe them from the start of the season, and maybe a referee or two as well along the way. So how do you feel about tomorrow? Are you looking forward to the game?
Yeah, because as you said, it's Liverpool-Tottenham. I feel like those games always are up for it, both teams. It's usually pretty exciting, lots of goals, but I'm also looking forward to seeing the players' reactions, especially with Slot rumored, all but done to be the next manager. I'm sure he's going to have eyes on the game. So for me, it's kind of a chance for the players. We'll talk probably about changes in the squad, but chances for your players to, raise their hand to Slot and be like, hey, I got something worth proving. And then on the flip side, I'm curious to see who's going to just keep their head down and sort of be on the beach already, because that's not the attitude I want to see. I feel like that's the attitude we've seen from a lot of players in the last 5 to 7 matches, and I'm tired of seeing that. So hopefully some youngsters, some fringe players, but I'm really looking forward to who's up for it for carrying on in the next season and wanting to make a claim for their spot.
Yeah, I think Drew touches on lots of good points there, Carter. The past few performances, we have seen that their heads aren't really there. We've seen some, let's say, antagonised looks and comments, perhaps from one Mohamed Salah to Jurgen Klopp as well. Things didn't seem quite right, I don't think, since that Manchester United FA Cup unfortunate loss. Do you think some people's heads are on next season? Do you think some people now have thought, you know what, I'm going to save myself for next season under a new regime of Arne Slot? Whilst we wait, obviously, confirmation for that is rumoured to be and does look the likely choice. So do you think some people have taken their foot off the gas, Carter?
I think I might not say foot off the gas. I think for some of the older players, more specifically Salah, I think it is a real gut punch, because I've got a lot of hope and a lot of faith in Slot. But for someone like Salah, he might go, this is probably was his best chance at winning another league title. Obviously, we could be great under Slot, you don't know. But he goes, this is the last time this probably is the last time he's got a guaranteed elite manager. He's got all these really top players around him, and he's got one Premier League. And he's obviously, I can't blame him, but if you're in his position where obviously people maybe on the stream or watching saw, in my opinion, a lot of stupid comments from Troy Deeney, Simon Jordan, and Graham Souness the other day on quite a bad podcast. Didn't watch it, just saw bits of it. And he does get a lot of disrespect. And I think he looks at this and he goes, he wants to win stuff. And all the wheels have come off. It's not necessarily been his fault. It's been a lot of conceding. So I can't blame him. Obviously, I think you save it for in the changing room. But I think a lot of people are probably just frustrated. For a lot of guys, Robertson, maybe his last time to win one as a starter. Van Dijk's turning 33, 34. Alisson's picking up injuries. For a lot of these guys, it's going to be it's a very difficult time, I think. And I think people have looked at it maybe in the wrong way. I think a lot of the younger players, it's been a bit disappointing in the new guys. But I just think it's just a very, maybe even toxic situation at the moment. It's just very difficult, I think, for a lot of the players.
I've never known a team to actually decline as more and more of our fitness. Injuries actually came back. We were on fire with the youngsters, and it does seem like, as the lads started to come back, that league title and the quadruple hopes sort of dwindled out. Jay says he simplified it as the teams run out of gas. Potentially, I do think, and we've said before that I think that they peaked in the Carabao Cup final, which is not a bad time to peak. But after that, it just seemed like the wheels were off a little bit, and people are just absolutely shattered. There are bits though, Drew, where Robertson has looked okay. If I'm honest, he's looked quite bright and lively in spots. Quanta, I think, has looked well. I think Kelleher throughout the season has done himself proud, and Van Dijk is absolutely Rolls Royce again. So there are some bright spots there. I think Diaz and Gakpo have done themselves very, very, proud of late, especially Gakpo. I do hope that we see him tomorrow on the left-hand side, though. I think he made it quite clear, didn't he, that he's not necessarily a central striker, and it looked like he was going to be trained to be the Bobby Firmino and playing that deep 9 position. It doesn't suit him. He was playing in midfield even at the start of the season, if we can remember those days. For me, Gakpo is the left-sided player. Jota is the only one we should be playing through the middle in my eyes, because Nunes is the left-sided player too, which leaves that Diaz and Salah. I think Diaz was fantastic on the right in Salah's absence. And actually, I don't want to say we are better without Salah, but it's proven that in recent times we certainly have been. Drew, is there anyone, I've mentioned a couple of players, but is there anyone who's impressed you and who you'd like to certainly see start tomorrow?
I think you both made great points. Other than who you mentioned, maybe some youngsters, but at the same time, I know Bobby Clark's out for the rest of the season. Dan's maybe gets a shot, but other than that, I'm more curious to see who's got the mentality to pick up, because like you said, I think you touched on a great point of I've never seen a decline when injuries are people are coming back from injuries. And that for me was the saddest part. I don't know if it's leadership. I don't know if it's confidence, maybe Klopp's energy, as he's saying, he's running out of energy when he hadn't made that announcement. Maybe that was the feeling in the dressing room as well, that they didn't have enough energy. But I really want to see players when you look at City and you look at their bench, when the players come on the bench, they're not, idly sitting by coasting, letting everyone else win it. You look at last season, or when Gundogan came up, and the other year when came back against Aston Villa and crushed our hopes and dreams on that last day of the season. He was a bench player to some extent, coming up big. You even look at a Cole Palmer, who just is absolutely killing it on Chelsea. I want to see that kind of hunger and drive and just self-confidence and killer instinct in the squad. And I don't see that. At the point in the season where you needed that to happen, it just wasn't there. And I kind of align with Carter on the Salah stuff. I think he's gotten a lot of unfair criticism. I'm sure anyone can look at the compilations of the chances created that Salah had and how many players just absolutely messed up. And I'm I put Darwin under a lot of criticism, but it's not just him. Gakpo's missed chances, Diaz's missed chances. Gravenberch had missed that chance against Brighton or somebody like that. There've been a lot of missed chances, and I think when the problem happens, where it's defense too, Quanta lapped against United, stuff like that. It's not just one problem at this stage of the season. But to get back to your original question of who I'd like to see, I don't think there's anybody really screaming out for me. I just like to see the guys that we trust and who are in the starting 11 actually show up and care. Because I don't like this idea of them just writing it off and being all right, well, chance is gone. Next season we'll rally, because I don't think that's a winning mentality. I think you got to finish strong and really give Klopp a send-off he deserves, regardless of, if it's just going to be top 4 in the League Cup. He deserves to have some good games left, not just some sad, pathetic limp out at the league.
And this is the penultimate game, obviously, at Anfield with Jurgen Klopp. We have Wolves the last day of the season. We've got Villa away in between that. So I think the Wolves game, judging on Man City, no Man City on Man City, but, Liverpool should also be looking to put 5 past them. If Man City are doing it, Liverpool should also be looking for that, especially, if it's Jurgen's last game. So I'm sure that they'll have a big send-off. But at the same time, players are going to have to step up, because I'm pretty sure whoever the new manager is will be watching. And I also am pretty sure as well that if players aren't up for it, now is the time to shift some on. I do agree with the Salah comments as well. I think it was the Simon Jordan podcast, wasn't it, Carter, that's been doing the rounds on Twitter, and just some outrageous comments, really. And again, just showing that what we knew all along, Salah is often made to be a scapegoat, and you know the man could hit 32 goals in a season and it still not be good enough. So whatever, you know, it is what it is. But you know, Salah and the slot, I'm quite looking forward to. I'd love to see him going back to not hugging the touchline again. I would like to see him cutting inside and making those runs. Carter, we do have a bit of a situation about who to play through the middle. Now, as all of you know, I'm a huge Darwin Núñez fan, but I think you also have to take off your blinkers every now and then. Although the world is a lot more fun, isn't it, through tinted glasses? You know, it's a lot more positive. But he's not been performing great, you know. I said actually a month ago, and I thought this bet was all done. He's a Tottenham fan, my friend. I had a bet with him at the start of the season saying Núñez would score 20 goals in all competitions. He's currently on 18. And about a month ago, I was like, do you want to pay me now? Because it's definitely happening. He's not scored since. So, Carter, is your man through the middle Darwin Núñez, or is your man through the middle perhaps a Gakpo or a Salah or a Diaz, or dare I say it, a Danz?
I'm actually going to say about you saying Dan's, and I think a lot of people have said like play the young kids. I actually think apart from Bajcetic, I wouldn't play any of them because I think it's just people say play them, but I think you're putting them out to dry. I think you're putting them in a situation that's not positive, that's not negative. There's no point playing them now. Like if we have a bad run, people are going to say, "Oh, Kumas isn't good enough. He can't cut it. Dan's isn't." But so I think I'd start Núñez. I think there's going to be a lot of space in behind. Like I watched the Chelsea Spurs game. Loads of space in behind. Like I think it will suit Núñez, and I think I'll probably go for Gakpo on the left wing. I think that sort of Gakpo, Salah, Núñez worked really well at the end of last season. I think it's still got a bit of potential. So I think I definitely go Núñez, and I honestly think don't count out your bet yet. I'm being serious. I honestly think if you can get 2 goals against anyone, it's Ange's high line with Emerson at left back, and I don't even want to. Who is it? Yeah, no, it is Romero and Van der Ven are back, but I'd still back Núñez to have a chance.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I'm still fairly confident of that coming in because they were woeful against Chelsea the other night. Considering they had to win it to go top 4, you know, the whole system baffled me. I didn't know what they were trying to do. But you know that, you know, Son's going to turn up to be prime Messi tomorrow and Romero's obviously going to be Maldini. But, you know, that's what we have to do. It's going to be a good game. And I think the fact that both teams are attacking and neither have really anything to lose, I'd love to see them just go like a basketball game, absolutely bang at it. Drew, if that is the case, we are going to have to talk about our defence, keeping the likes of Son. And I think Brennan Johnson's had a good first season. Richarlison's obviously back as well. So what does our back 4 look like to you, assuming that Alisson is back in goal?
Van Dijk's out, right? Is that the word?
Yeah, I saw that he was a doubt, but again, I can't see him being brushed back if there's any need.
Yeah, especially with the Euros. So I guess that just leaves you maybe Gomez, and Konate or Kwanzaa. I thought Konate had a really bad game last time out, but I still wouldn't throw him under the bus. I feel like a lot of people are saying he's not up to it, or injuries, etc. But I don't know. Maybe I'd give Gomez a chance just because I feel like he deserves it. Maybe give him a chance at a goal. Love to see that, but Trent obviously right back, probably Robertson. Like that's what I mean. Like I don't see what Carter was saying, like wholesale changes. I don't like. I might be curious to throw Dan's up just to see the added experience. I think it is like blooding someone. Like I wouldn't do wholesale changes, but I always remembered when Trent got his first game against Man United, like first big game against United, and I think it was Rashford rinsed him. And I was like, that was too early. He should have never been played in that game. And Trent has referred to that in interviews where that moment made him go, like, I never want that to happen again. I'm going to put in the work to make sure that doesn't happen again. And like, I feel like that was really the launch pad. And I think it's those moments that players need. It's like where you kind of see what you're made of. And I'm curious to see if Dan's has that, you know, in him right now to take a big game like this and take his chance because he's certainly shown a lot of qualities. But that would be my reason for maybe giving him the start. But back to defense, I don't see any wholesale changes. I think it's whoever's fit enough to play the best back four that we have.
Yeah, I would like to see Robertson start. I think we will see Tsimikas because I could see him being moved on. So it's either going to be this week or next week against Wolves. I could see him being moved on. And if he does, he's been a great squad player for me. I think Tsimikas, the Scouser who is Greek or the Greek who is Scouse, either way round. I think he's been phenomenal. So I'd like to see him, if he is going, obviously, get a bit of a send off. So, but for me, with a game you want to beat Tottenham. So I'd be starting our best and whatever fit back four is available. And I think also looking at the Van Dijk doubt, I think Konate has come under unfair criticism. I've only seen him have one bad game. I don't know. Again, maybe I've got the bias blinkers on. Last game, woeful, absolutely woeful. But apart from that, I know that there's question marks over his fitness. He picks up niggles here and there. But actually, there's not another centre-back in the league apart from maybe Saliba or Gabriel who I'd have over him. Because Ruben Diaz has some issues too when it comes to fitness. But I just think that Van Dijk and Konate work very well together. I'd love to see Gomez at centre-back. And as you said, I'd love to see him get a goal. But can everyone please stop shouting shoot as soon as he's got the ball? Because there is a reason why he hasn't scored for Liverpool yet. Carter, what does our midfield look like for you?
Personally, for me, I think, I'm not hating on Endo. I think I'd play McAllister at the 6, maybe Endo, and then I think left, I'd like to see Gravenberch play. I think he's impressed. I think this sort of up and down game will really suit him. I think it sort of gives him the opportunity to use his strides and drive us up the pitch. And as Spurs sort of go man to man, he's sort of a player I'd back. Sort of we can knock the ball up to him, he can take it down, he can turn his man. So I'd like to see him. And I think, as you guys sort of said, guys who try hard, I'd like to see Harvey play. I think no matter what, out of all the players, just runs and runs and runs, tries really hard. He's got some goals and assists, so I think I'd definitely go Harvey and Gravenberch. What about you, Drew?
Yeah, I think Richie's got a package at the door or some food for dinner. But I actually spot on. I agree. I think Gravenberch for me, I'd love to see him get a chance. He's really impressed. He's got the technical ability, and I think you're going to need players who can carry the ball, hold on to the ball well against Tottenham in the press. Same with you, Harvey. I think he really deserves a chance to start. It seems to me like he's one of the top players when I think about who cares for the club and who is showing that on the pitch. I think Harvey's probably up there as number 1, 2, or 3. And for me, maybe Endo just to have that more. Yeah, exactly. If Gravenberch is gonna be in there with Elliott, I wouldn't want to put too much defensive responsibility on them. I know Elliott can be a bit scrappy, but be nice to have a little more defensive mindset in there. Maybe Richie's internet went out, but what about Tottenham? Who are you worried about for Tottenham?
For Tottenham, I think, to be honest, this is probably going to come back and bite me after watching the game the other day. No one. I thought it looked really flat. I thought Maddison looked off it when he came on. I think Kulusevski's never sort of recaptured that first 6 months when he signed from January. I think they're like a worse version of us at the moment. I think they're dreading to play games and we're dreading to play games. I think it's just we're both playing badly. So I think our bad is not as bad as their bad. So that's why I'm kind of confident. I don't know. What do you think?
Actually, very similar. Where I do if we had to give predictions, I'm actually a little worried that we might get beat or drawn just based on the mood around. I'd hope Anfield's up for it. I hope the players are up for it. But I could see it being if we concede the first goal again, it just not looking good. Because I've never seen such a poor performance as when Everton went up, and it just it never really looked like we were gonna break them down or give it a go. And that second one went in, it just felt like just, like, heart was ripped out, and like it seemed like that way for the players on the pitch. So I'm wondering if you get like a Richarlison getting a goal and just like just head back, just like, oh god. But I don't
That's
know.
why I
Like,
think. Oh, I was interrupting you.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what you said about Tottenham's high line, like that to me is like the Achilles heel. Like, I wouldn't be surprised like a 3-3 game again. But where are you gonna go on?
I was gonna say, like, this feels like a game when no one's gonna score, but both teams are gonna concede. Like, it's gonna be like an own goal, or it will just be like, I'm trying to think, what was the game? You know, when we got like the stupid Gakpo goal that like hit a defender, hit the goalkeeper. It feels like that's kind of what's needed for either team to score. But I do, as you said with the high line, we should have some chances. Like Nunes will get himself against this team. Nunes should get himself like 2 chances at least, and I hope Gakpo maybe gets one, and Salah should get himself one. So I'll be interested to see how it goes. But as I said, I think neither team have much faith in their, neither support base has much faith in their team at the moment.
Definitely. We'll see. I'm wondering if Richie's back. We'll give him a sec. But do you think Tottenham's going to show up wanting it more? Like, because I feel like we're set with the top 4 right now, and I'm wondering if it's going to come down to who wants it more. And Tottenham, like, even a draw for them would be big for cementing their top 4 push potentially.
I honestly, I don't know. I feel like they're honestly the most on the beach team in the league now. Maybe, like, I just feel like you can just hear Ange like screaming from the side and getting all frustrated and stuff. And obviously, he just was like, "Mate, I don't know what you want us to do." Like, it's that kind of, it's all sort of building up, and I just think they've just had enough. I think they've messed up. They lost the games. I think this run of games was really brutal. Like Arsenal, Chelsea, Aston City. Like, this is not a fun week for them. So I think everyone's I think they're just waiting for it to end. I think they're just waiting to sort of be put out of their misery a bit at the moment.
Right, lads. Sorry for that. Jay asked if it was a curry or the cave. I normally it is the curry, isn't it? The curry man. Or I'm late because of the curry man. But I actually had my tea beforehand, and my Mac went from like 21 down to 6, and that's when I ran out of the room and I came back and it was dead. So I apologize. So yeah, it was don't know, just literally died on me. So apologies there, but thank you very, very much. And all the best to you, Jay, as well. You said that you've got to run. All right, so enjoy the game tomorrow. So lads, I obviously just came back, and thanks for holding the fort down there. Don't you think it's funny that halfway through the season, or when Klopp announced his retirement, there were Liverpool fans out there saying that they wanted Ange to take over at the reins, and now I was just caught the end of what it was that you guys were discussing. He does look like out of ideas, doesn't he? I mean, we're saying this now, he's probably going to turn up with a masterclass tomorrow, but you know, it does seem like he's ran out of ideas. He doesn't have a set or different way of playing. And it's come to a head a little bit for Spurs, which I think they'll look back on this, and it will be looking back in disappointment, not getting Champions League football. I mean, Drew, Aston Villa have done phenomenally well, but do Spurs look back on this season as a bit of a failure?
I honestly wouldn't say that, just because I didn't really expect them to push for top 4. I thought they were completely out of the picture. No Ange from like Celtic, but like I was like, that's a huge step up to the Premier League. And I think his Achilles heel is just kind of that, almost what happened with Rodgers, where he just like was sort of bullheaded and it's like, we're gonna play this style of football. Like, I'm not gonna change. Like, we're just gonna beat teams playing our game, like our attractive football. And it's like, that doesn't work when push comes to shove. I think Klopp learned a lot from the first loss against Real Madrid at the Champions League final, because I remember the next year when we played Tottenham, we like locked it up, that early goal, but we played very defensive, controlling the game. And that's not how you normally identify a Klopp team. But I think you need to be able to adapt depending on the team you're playing, and I don't think Ange has shown that he has a plan B this season. or is willing to entertain that kind of thing versus an Emery, who I feel like has a little more time around the block. Yeah, his CV is very impressive. I thought he was harshly treated at Arsenal. I think was it at PSG? Did he bring them to the final that year against Bayern? I thought he did incredibly well in that regards, and has shown it at Aston Villa. I don't think anyone would have put Aston Villa up for a top 4 challenge. So I never really was entertained by the Ange rumors for Liverpool. Kind of gave me Brendan Rodgers vibes, and while I wouldn't write Tottenham seasons off, I think they've got a lot of credit in the bank for me. But I think he needs to show what he can do next season to see if he can build upon what he did this season. Because right now, as you both have been saying, they kind of petered out, hit when push comes to shove. Similar like us, we just weren't up for the challenge, and Tottenham wasn't either.
And it's funny because even though they've lost Harry Kane, he started like an absolute house on fire. And maybe teams just figured out how they were going to play, perhaps. Heung-min Son looks like every bit of the player that he always has been. I think Richarlison has been the best that he has been in the Premier League in a Tottenham shirt this season as well. So Ange deserves some credit. I really like the evolution of Pedro Porro actually as well. I think that he's, as an attacking threat, I think he is up there with one of the best fullbacks in the league as well. And I really rate Mickey van der Ven in terms of pace. Like, I've never seen somebody's recovery time. I'd love for him and Kyle Walker to have a sprint. And I know that their distance gets clocked in the game, but I'd love for them to have a head-on-head sprint, right, next to each other. Bosh, there's the gun, off you go, because I think that'd be a very, very close race, if I'm honest. Carter, is there any banana skin potentially for Liverpool tomorrow, do you think, facing a little bit of a flat Tottenham side? But as we've mentioned already, both teams have nothing to lose. Why not go for absolutely everything and really give, the footballing universe a game to actually witness and to think, wow, that's footballing heritage right there.
When you were kind of gone, I kind of said to Drew, it's like their team just looks so flat. Like, I think it will be up and down, but I know you sort of, Richard, you said you kind of like Brennan Johnson. I think for a bad team, like he was linked to Brentford, I think for a team like that, where there's always space in behind, I think he would really suit. But I think he's one of those guys where he's quick. He probably can finish a bit, but if he stood up one of our fullbacks, I'd have no fear. But I think he's a bit like Werner, where he's got this pace, he can drive into space, but I don't think he can take a man on. I think Kulusevski, he's all right. I think Richarlison's, now I've said this, they're all going to score, but I think Kulusevski's been on it. Maddison looked like a pub player against Chelsea. Like, Son, I honestly didn't know Son was on the pitch for the first half an hour because he was up against Alfie Gilchrist. He was up against Alfie Gilchrist, who's 19, 20 years old, who's a centre-half, who's not big enough to play centre-half, who's played about 5 games, and he didn't drive it in once. I honestly don't remember seeing him for the first half. I think the first time I realised he was on the pitch, they cut to like people stood in the box for the corner, and I was like, so he's fit. I was just like, I just couldn't believe. Like, I think he's kind of had a similar thing to Salah, where he went off to the Asian Cup and he's not come back the same. I think it's all sort of that. I think that for Tottenham was a big issue, and especially they lost a lot of African players. I think that was like us. I think that sort of thing where you lost a few players, I think that's really hurt them, and they've just been flat ever since. Like, I honestly, if we were good, I'd say 5 or 6-0, but I'd now say maybe 2-1, 3-1, hopefully.
I could see a Newcastle 4-3 or a 5-2 or something ridiculous if I'm honest. I mean, listen, last week I had Son as captain in my FPL and it started really well because he had the penalty that he scored. And I thought, okay, well, I might make some ground up on a few of the leaders because I was the only one I think who had Son captain. And then he just didn't turn up at all against Chelsea. Absolutely diabolical performance and, really disappointing. Kulu, I think this season, Kulusevski has looked better in the 10 role, if I'm honest. Playing just behind Richarlison with either Johnson or Werner out on one wing and then Son on the other. I think Kulu's actually looked really, really good in that 10 role. And again, I don't know whether Tottenham do that tomorrow to bring in Richarlison and Son and Johnson, because obviously Werner's out. But again, it's exciting if they do, because you've got 4 attacking players there, and then you've got Bentancur, Bissouma, whoever it is who's going to fit into that middle. And it just makes for a great game. It just makes for an attack versus an attack. And I really hope, and I'm not bitter like at all, and I let things go, and but I really hope that they score a perfectly good goal and it gets given offside, and we win the game by 1 goal because of it. So let's see what happens. What sort of atmosphere are you expecting tomorrow, Drew? Because it has been a bit flat recently at Anfield. We want the flags out. It is Flag Day. We won't go into that because we all know how we all feel about that. But the atmosphere surely is going to be electric, isn't it, tomorrow?
I'd hope. I was talking about this with Carter, where I was like, I think it possibly starts electric, but maybe a little nervy as well. Like, I think it really depends how the team starts. I think, you'll never walk alone. We'll blast out, and then the game will start, big cheers. But I think at that point, it's on the players to carry that energy. Because if they don't, if they do the classic, drop it back to whoever's in the Van Dyke role and just lob it up the field, and Tottenham get it and then just fully blitz us or something like that, and I think we're looking at a very nervy afternoon. But I don't know, with Richarlison in, maybe it's real scrappy. I feel like the crowd needs to wake up, and hopefully they do that early. But yeah, again, the Klopp send-off, I really hope everyone, player, I think it does start on the pitch. I think fans can give that support and really show up before the whistle when the whistle goes. But I think once that happens, the players really need to own that responsibility of making sure Klopp has the right kind of send-off and the energy is there. Because I think there is that relationship between the crowd and the players, and it's been a very nervy one lately. Not a lot of self-confidence, not a lot of self-belief, and I'm hoping, the crowd's always going to be there to support, but we need the players on the pitch to really carry the torch. So I think the crowd's always going to be able to show up and do their thing. Hopefully, it is on tomorrow. They do, but no doubts about that. But I'm more worried about what players are going to show up and what kind of team we're going to see.
I don't think there's any reason to be nervous. There's nothing to play for now. It's all but secured Champions League football and probably 3rd place as well, let's be honest. There's nothing to be nervous about for the fans. Just go and have a great time. Just enjoy, because some of you are never going to see Jurgen Klopp in a Liverpool shirt again unless you're going in 2 weeks, So just go there and sing your hearts out and absolutely enjoy every single minute of it, because like I said, we are witnessing the end of an era, and a very, very special one at that. I was talking to somebody at work, actually, and they said, do you buy into all of the stuff about Jurgen Klopp not doing as much as what he should have at Liverpool? And I said, no, I'll do the whole 10 years all over again, all over again, and have exactly the same results and exactly the same victories as well, because that's what I wanted to look back on. And sure, it would be lovely to have won a couple more league trophies, but it made that number 20 really, really special. And it just made it, we waited for so long, 30 years, and for Klopp to be the one to do that is you would do it all over again. Carter, as we wind down then, let's go to our match predictions. And if you're feeling really confident, you can give us a goal scorer as well. So what's your match prediction for tomorrow? And who do you think gets on the score sheet? Unless you go 0-0, of course.
Muted, Carter.
Oh,
I wasn't going to tell him. I was just going to let you keep going.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you. I think I'll go 3-1, and I'll guess I reckon for us, I'm gonna go Harvey Elliott, Trent, Nunes, and I'll say Romero for Spurs, because we look absolutely dreadful on set pieces.
Yeah, that's a good shout as well. Romero's been doing very well in set pieces actually as well. You could always, a good bet for tomorrow is a Romero shot on target and a Romero booking. Double up on Romero there. Drew, what's your prediction or scorers or both?
I like your free-for-all Newcastle kind of result. I think it is going to be like a 2-2 or a 3-3. Honestly, I think we might draw it. I'm hoping we squeak out either a 2-1 or a 3-2, but we'll see. I think Gakpo will score. I think Diaz will score, and maybe Salah. Gakpo, Diaz, Salah. Keep it real simple. And then for Tottenham, I like the Romero shout, and I'm gonna go special one for you, Richie. Darwin own goal. Get you a negative on your bet.
You made me choke there. You got me there. I'm going for 4-3 then. I said it at the off. I'll go for the 4-3, you know, and I could see heaven knows who scores tomorrow. I would like to think that Darwin and Salah both get their scoring boots back, if I'm honest. I'm not too concerned if Diaz and Gakpo don't score, but I think it would do wonders if Darwin and Salah perhaps bag a brace. And then obviously from FPL, I'll go Son hat-trick. That'd be great as well. And we'll go from there. Any last thoughts about the game tomorrow, or any last comments from you, Carter?
So, yeah, not too much. I am kind of excited for it, to be honest. I think it's nice to not stress over every single game like it's the Champions League final, but ultimately this isn't where we want to be. And I was kind of thinking the only thing that would make up for all of this would be Joe Gomez to score. I know he said don't tell him to shoot or anything, but if there's one thing that can possibly make this season good at this point now, it would be Gomez to score. But apart from that, yeah, I think just see the players play well. And Paul kind of commented, I saw the comment earlier. If he's fit, Bajcetic, maybe give him some minutes. I think he's really promising. But if he's not, there's no point risking him. But if he's fit, I'd like to see him play, to be honest. Those are sort of my thoughts for tomorrow.
Would you give a penalty to Joe Gomez tomorrow, regardless of whether we're winning or not? If we're winning, losing or drawing, do you give that penalty to Joe Gomez?
Yes, 100%. I don't think Mo Salah will.
No, that's very true. Yeah, I don't think Mo will. Although the Golden Boot now, after the Haaland show today, probably looks a little bit beyond him. But yeah, again, why not? There's nothing to lose, even if it's 1-1, 90th minute. You know, who cares if at that point it doesn't matter? Obviously, for pride and for purpose and bits like that. But again, you know,
Barcelona did that for Mascherano. He hadn't scored in like 300 games. And I think second last game, they win a penalty and Messi just does like take the penalty and he scores. So maybe not Joe Gomez's second last game, but for Klopp's one of his last games, which I just who cares, but like who cares? I think Salah will win it for goals, because at the end of the day, if Salah leaves in next season or 2 seasons, that can be the difference between him hitting the sort of, I think Aguero is like third like most goals for a non-English player. So for him, that is the difference. So I do get him wanting to take it, but I think if he's not on the pitch, McAllister doesn't need that goal. Like, just let Joe Gomez take it.
Yeah, and obviously with Salah, you know, top scoring African player in the league ever. Again, every goal enhances that, and it takes that record a little bit of a step further. Drew, any final thoughts before the game tomorrow?
Just echo what Carter said about Gomez. Get him on the score sheet however possible. And what you said earlier, Richie, about no reason for the crowd to be nervous. I know I said I think it could be, especially if we go down, but I really hope that we do take that in. Like you said, like, just appreciate Klopp, what he's done for us. This is the rare occurrence where we don't have to like win any game to get top 4 anymore. So I really hope that does lift the weight off the watching the game, and we all can just enjoy it. And I hope the players feel that and show that on the pitch and really are able to have fun, because I feel like that was such a hallmark of the Jurgen Klopp era, was just having so much fun. Like, whether it was the Alisson header goal, whether it was the goal against Everton, the Origi goal, like so many fun moments as a fan. And I just want to see a fun game. So I hope we have that energy tomorrow.
Yeah, it'd be nice to the last 3 games go real heavy metal football. I think Aston Villa will probably secure the top 4 as well. So when we play them again, two great attacking sides with good goal scorers in there, nothing to lose. Hopefully that'll be a good game, you know, at Villa Park. And again, Wolves at home, you'd expect us to win and hopefully win well. Carter, I've seen that you've been sipping your water. How annoying are the bottle tops that they're all attached? I can't stand them. And I know it's for recycling purposes, so you can't like ping them or that you lose them, but I've lost my head with them now.
I honestly, I don't mind. This is gonna sound like really bad, but I'm in like a uni flat and I don't have any glasses, so I just use like a water bottle for 4 days and then buy another one. So it's quite useful, so I don't lose the cap, to be honest. But I do
Perfect.
know what
See,
you
I
mean.
didn't think about that. Yeah. Amazing. We are going to end actually just laughing at somebody who's attempting to laugh at us, because that is brilliant. And again, it shows how the mighty have fallen. The once mighty Manchester United, not even anywhere close to the top four, and trying to call Liverpool a banter club. So thank you so much for making our evenings, because that is a brilliant comment. And, you know, I'm sure we'll all go to bed happy knowing that once again, Jurgen Klopp has toppled Manchester United. So thank you for that. It's such a great note to end on. And thank you all for joining us. If you haven't given us a like or a subscribe, please do so. Manchester United fan, you can also do that. And it puts a lot of publicity onto the channel as well. So thank you for joining us too. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Carter. And hopefully we'll have an amazing result tomorrow. If not, then just a great game of pure heavy metal football. Thanks all for joining us. For now and forever, you'll never walk alone. And of course, up the Reds.